Next up is Drexus, D-R-E-X-U-S, I hope I said that right, 80. And his first question, he's only asked 2. Which game has caused the biggest emotional response in you, be it anger, sadness, joy, etc.? Which emotion was it, and why did it have such an effect on you? Again, you're probably bored of me going on about it now, but it's going to be the Shenmue series and Shenmue 2. Probably the biggest emotion was right at... I can't really tell you the end of the game without ruining it, but you get to this moment in the end of the game where you meet this other person, and without ruining the story, everything that you've been through, I mean, we're talking a good 40 to 50 hours play it, you know, everything you've been through just over the 2 games just comes together and clicks into place. And it's all going on about destiny at this point, and then you just realise that everything you've been through has been leading up to this one moment, and it just becomes so special, and it just draws you in, and you just think, God, that's it, you know, this is what the adventure's been leading up to, and this is what the rest of the adventure we're going to experience is going to be about. And it was only bloody Sega pulling the plug on the Shenmue bleeding series that we never got to see the rest of it, but it drew me in so much. I don't know what sort of emotion that would be. It was just the anticipation of the moment mixed in with the you know, the what is it, being content with the moment at the time. It was just so special. And probably the only other thing that even came close to me in the past was the death of Eris in Final Fantasy VII. Now that's a bit of a cliche now these days, but for me, I mean, I didn't actually play that game, Final Fantasy VII, till till around 1999. I mean, I sort of skipped out on the PlayStation era until its latter days when the PS2 was coming out. And it was only by a mate at work going on and on about this game, Final Fantasy VII, that I decided to pick a copy up, and I picked it up for about a tenner second hand. God, I wish I kept hold of that, it was worth a fortune. And played it all the way through and was just, you know, just blown away by the game. And I had nothing, you know, I had no idea what it was about. I didn't really read up on the internet about it. I just spent like a month solid on this game, night after night, staying up playing through. And just came across that, and yeah, you know, where she passes away, it is very sad. I thought it was very touching. I'd never seen anything like that in a game before, and it never touched me like that, you know, in that sense. So, question 2. If you were given the money and a development team to design and make your own game, what game would it be, and who or what would be the main character? Well, first off, it'd have to be Shenmue 3, because, oh my god, I need to get Yuzuki back and just finish the bloody story. To be honest, I'd even take on a comic book just to find out what happened next. But yeah, if it was a game by me, it would probably be an RPG, because I really I love the character development as you go through if you've got a good story behind it. Who would be the main character? It wouldn't be some daft teen, because that's the only other problems with a lot of these Japanese RPGs. You have some teen character. It'd probably be someone much older, a lot of gruff, down on the luck, a bit of an underdog. I like that sort of build up, you know, a bit of an underdog. Nobody cares about him. That sort of thing. It just builds up over time and maybe becomes something special. I don't know. Next question then, on to Tamefan. I'm sure a lot of you all know by now. He was asking about me living temporarily in this flat. Where are you? Well, I'm in a flat. It's like a sort of a house share. There's always other people knocking around, but I don't have much to do with them, to be honest. And when am I going to move on? I suppose he's asking. Sorry. Well, basically, I was only meant to come here because the rent was just really. I used to pay a huge amount on the rent where I used to live, big modern flat. Saw this come up and thought I'd do a year, maybe a year and a half in here, pay off some, you know, student debts and stuff, and the other, as you can probably imagine, the amount of stuff I buy, you know, it's just crazy the amount of debt I get at times. luckily I'm not in the case of like Luke Mawson. You know, I've not got an insane amount of debt or piling over my head or anything like that. Literally just a year of hard saving would probably pay everything off for me. But the problem is that with this year I've had so much come up. I mean, I had to do the holiday to Japan. I had never been, never had really any time off work or vacation time, or, you know, holidays away, that sort of thing. And I'd always wanted to go to Japan. It was just a crazy moment. It was like, right, I'm going to book this, get the card out, pay for it, and worry about the cost and that later. And all I've been doing this year really is paying off big chunks of that, and then on top of that, my last car, which was an MG, something went wrong with the engine. It would have cost about £1,000 to get fixed before looking at the other problems, and it had to go. And then I was stuck having to spend like, you know, a few £1,000s on a new car. And I didn't want to get another shed again. I wanted to, you know, with cars, I always think you're best off buying what you can sensibly afford at the high end, and then, you know, if things go wrong with it, then, you know, at least you made the effort to buy something decent in the first place. So, yeah, you know, just one thing after another, and then we're breaking the leg this year, and I mean, that's 3 months. I was getting paid from work, but I've had no life pretty much for 3 months. Can't go out anywhere, present in my own home. And it's just screwed me up on that sense, because on the same time, you saw last month when I was spending a big chunk of my Japanese, not last month, oh god, that's how long it's been. It was August when I went and bought the AES and the MVS adapter. Just crazy. Crazy spending, but I felt it had to be done. Anyway, next question it's by filtermagd. Do you feel that our generation that grew up through the 8, 16 and 32-bit eras are more nostalgic than other age groups? I'm 28 and I have noticed that the YouTube gamers that are approaching 30 or are in their early 30s seem to miss the 80s and 90s most. I think he has got a good point there. I mean, I'm 29, I'll be 30 later on this year, on the 4th of December, everybody. It's all downhill once you get 30, I'm sure of it, but me, I'm going to be 29 forever. And, yeah. I think, yes, I mean, I've got a younger brother actually. I mean, he's 20 now, but, you know, he missed the 80s completely, and he grew up really, gaming wise, properly through the PlayStation era, I suppose. He just does not like the older retro stuff. He's not into it at all. He just will not play it. Calls it rubbish and so on. Doesn't like the gameplay or anything like that. And I think he just doesn't. He really is into his games, but he just does not have that same sort of love for the older stuff. Like, he won't even go back to like the Dreamcast, even though he had one in the day. He's moved on pretty much. And I know quite a lot of the younger generations are like that now. You know, they want it big, brash, and bright. Whereas I think those of us who played through the 80s and the early 90s, you know, games were a lot simplistic back then, graphics-wise. You know, you got your enjoyment from the gameplay. You could sit down and spend an entire evening on a simple like a simple platformer or a shooting game, and you know, you'd not worry about losing an entire evening on it. Whereas today, you know, you'd play something like Metal Gear Solid 4, which is absolutely fantastic looking, yeah, but it's playable in like a single weekend. You know, you can get through that in about 20 hours of gameplay. So yeah, I do think that the current and, well, the last couple of generations have really suffered from that on a bit, and I think it's just because as an older gamer, you've had chance to work your way up slowly and over time. You appreciate games more as they come out. I mean, I love the Halo series, for example. I absolutely love them. But then at the same time, I also love much older games, and I can appreciate the differences between the modern and the more retro. So yeah, anyway, right. So I think I've answered that one.